Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. Ooh, the weather here is actually pretty nice. It's a warm-ish day. I didn't wear my mittens today. I wore like just regular, thicker running gloves. But I feel like that's pretty nice. It was like almost 40 degrees here today. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys had a good run too, especially if you're listening to this on the audio-only version on the podcast. Hopefully you've got some nice balmy weather. Hopefully it's not windy and it's not icy. And hopefully you're having a great run. Everyone watching this on YouTube, but not live, welcome to you guys as well. Hopefully you had a great run earlier in today. Hopefully you logged those grit miles in and had a chance to leapfrog anyone else who has posted their grit miles earlier in the day like I did. Today, at least the last time I checked, I'm in 20th place on the leaderboard. But I'm sure as the day goes, that number will drop as other people get their miles in. But I'm having a lot of fun with grit this year. And starting to see some other familiar names in there. Saw Ruby Wiles. She's like a couple of spots ahead of me. She's been doing a lot of miles too. So yeah, I've been enjoying it. And I got to say that like I've been really enjoying the miles that I have been doing because I've switched to a 9-day cycle. I've been thinking about it for a while. And I really felt like I didn't have enough time to really try it for this Tokyo build. But I was like, I just felt so like underwater the whole time. And for the first couple of weeks trying to get back into it, and I was like, my body's just not responding to workouts. So let's do 9 days. So it'll be like workout, rest, workout, rest. Or I guess rest, workout. So a 3-day, there's 3 mini cycles. Rest, workout, rest, long run. And that seems to be working well. So I've been enjoying that. And my easy days, my recovery runs are just much more enjoyable. The paces are a little bit faster too, because I think my body's not so like damaged and my body's feeling really good too. So I've been enjoying it all. So hopefully maybe if it's something that you guys can try, I'm not saying you should go out and try it now. Let me finish the whole marathon build first and see where we're at. But so far, so good. All right. Let's see who we got here in the chat. We got PG1980 says, "Hi, Co. Happy Hump Day. Really enjoyed the vid about winter clothing." Yeah, it's something that people like, I don't know. I feel like that's a video that doesn't do well right away, but it kind of gains momentum as people are doing YouTube searches on it. But I do like doing them. The difficulty is always like, I could make this an hour-long video just listing off things I like. No, but I don't think people want that. Some people would still probably watch it, but I don't think that's good for most people. So I always try to figure out like what's the balance. And like then do I do like a super cold weather winter running thing? I feel like people that are trying to run in like sub-zero Fahrenheit, you've kind of got it figured out by now. I don't know. I always struggle, but I try to keep it like kind of like intro to winter running is kind of like the balance that I'm trying to strike. So people that have been running for a bit, but maybe don't know what to get for their winter stuff. I don't know. But I'm glad you liked it, Pete. I like making that video. Sean says, "Hey, everybody, with a wave. Easy 7 this morning, just muddling along." Well, that's a nice number for you. I'm glad to hear that you're getting back out there and getting some of those miles in. Thomas went to Cousin Co and Kofuji. "It's my birthday." Yeah. Yeah, birthday mile this weekend's on tap. He says, "On a runner's winter running clothing question, any recommendations for 3/4 length tights? The full ones are too long for me." I have not ever bought 3/4 length tights before, but I think that Rabbit makes some. So that's where I probably would look first. Check out runinrabbit.com, and I think they might be able to help you out. I think. All right. Let's see who else we got here in the chat. Sean wants to know, "Copos, you do those craft mittens you like get soaked with sweat inside? I have the issue with some Brooks mittens I use." They do. They get pretty gross. They can get pretty gross. Like some days where it's like, I might use a hand warmer and the mitten, and maybe I didn't need the hand warmer. Those are the days where like it gets damp on the inside. And the thing about it is, the only thing I don't like about those craft mittens, there's no way to pull them inside out. So you can't like some gloves, like you can pull like, so that like if they're a glove, you'd have the fingers of the glove and then there's a lining and you can pull it inside out so that you can like air out the gloves. Yeah, you can't really do that with the craft mittens. I've put them through the washing machine before, and then you can run it through the dry cycle, and that's kind of fine. I do think that is a little bit hard on them, and it may wear them down a little bit faster, but that's something you can do. I kind of want to get one of those. Well, one of the things I've been thinking about, like, well, should I just stick them on the end of my wife's hair dryer and then blow them out? I don't know. I know Thomas and Robbie were reviewing that like shoe warmer, like it puts like ozone into the shoes, basically like a boot dryer. I was like, maybe I need something like that. But I remember Thomas showed a picture of him using the shoe dryer, like the boot dryer, the one that shoots the ozone into it, which sounds like such a terrible idea. But anyway, he was using that one. And I was just like, that's gotta smell terrible in your house. And he's like, oh, the smell is awful. So I don't know what the answer is to the mittens situation, but like, I don't know. You just get stinky hands a little bit by the end of the winter, At least your hands are warm. All right. Let's see. Oh, that reminds me. Tomorrow, I got a surprise. I'm going to have a guest for tomorrow. Something I want to do so basically I have some 2023 goals. I was going to put it into a video. I was going to put it at the end of the, how much a 120,000 subscriber YouTube channel makes. But I was like, that is not really related. Like my goals for the next year are not that related to what I did revenue wise for last year, especially since most of the people watching that video probably are not running YouTubers. So I was like, let's just cut it. But I ended up never making a video about what my goals are. But one of the goals are to make sure that I'm connecting more with like the running creative community. Like I feel like I have the live stream. I do a lot of the runners weekend. We do a lot of shakeout runs where I'm hoping to meet you guys where you are, but and build running community amongst runners that way. But I also want to make sure that I'm not like anyway inadvertently gatekeeping or keeping people out of like developing their own channels. I'm trying not to take up too much space. I'm trying to make sure I invite more people in. And so what I want to try to do on the live stream is once a week, instead of boozy happy hour or trying to find like some new obscure protein shake to drink, I'm going to make the happy hour is bring a friend. And so I'm going to try to make it so that way it's a chance for other channels to hang out and meet some of you guys. It's people that I watch or follow on Instagram or on YouTube and get a chance to kind of show them. I wanted to ease into it though. I didn't want to like start out with like, someone that I didn't really know that well, except for that we follow each other on Instagram kind of thing. So tomorrow I'm going to do it easy and have someone on that I've been wanting to kind of interview or just have a conversation with on the channel for a long time. I'm going to have Robbie Redinger, Raccoon Robbie, or Robbie Raccoon from Believe in the Run. He's going to stop by tomorrow for the live stream, so he'll be here if you have any questions that you've been dying to ask him. I can't imagine what questions there'd be left because I feel like he talks about everything. So, but I just felt like that would be a fun person to have on, kind of ease into this idea of like, having other people who are in the same space that I'm in. And they'll Believe in the Run. They're huge. So it's not like exactly like I'm finding a small creator, but that's kind of like the idea is where it's going to go. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But tomorrow will be the first one. I have some other people already that I'm starting to line up to add. And if you guys have other suggestions of smaller creators, maybe people that are not on YouTube but are on Instagram, you can always message me and stuff like that. So that way I'll try to get some feedback from you guys that are here, especially for you guys that are here all the time. I want to hear about who you want to hear from. You know what I mean? So Thomas Wynn says, you woohoo, Robbie. Stevie76 says, sober Robbie. That's true. That's sober Robbie. Carrie Smith says, let's go. Yeah. And Matthew Acornero says, I want to know the story behind the Believe in the Run cowboy photo shoot. Yeah, it's a really funny group text. So Thomas is like, how it started out was I had no idea that there was a Tracksmith event that was going to happen in Houston. And so I just planned, and we had talked about it on the live stream too, that we were going to do 10 o'clock Saturday as our shakeout run. And so I waited probably too long, and then I finally posted it, I think earlier this week or maybe over the weekend. And like as soon as I did, Thomas is like, hey, did you know that there's a Tracksmith event at the same time? I'm like, it's not the same time, is it? Oh, no, it's not the same time. And he said, no, it's at 9. And I'm like, well, I think I'll probably go to both. I'm not racing, so I can do a couple of shakeouts. And he goes, cool. Can I put you on a poster? Because we're all going. And he shows me an example, and it's got some mock-ups with like him and Megan in cowboy hats. And on this group text is like Megan Featherston and Ben Johnson, because they're all going to be there too. And so in Houston. And so he's like, all you guys, if you want to be on this poster, send me a photo of yourself in a cowboy hat. And I'm like, Thomas, I don't know why you would think I own a cowboy hat. So, and he's like, fine, fair enough. Can you just maybe do some finger guns? And I'm like, I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, Megan Featherston has her cowboy hat and she's doing finger guns, and she's got her photo and she sends it in the group text. And then Ben Johnson sends one, and his is amazing. If you see him over the weekend, you should ask him if you could see the picture. I'll let him share that one. But if you see him at some point, you should ask him for what the picture looks like, because it's very funny. The hat that he's wearing in the poster is a photoshopped hat. There's a different hat that's in the photo. That's quite amusing. And I was like, all right, well, if Ben's going to do that, then I can find something to put on. And so I'm looking through my closet. I'm looking through my wife's closet. I'm looking through the kids' costume closet first, because I'm like, maybe the kids have like a witch hat, a wizard hat, something that with a wide brim that I can use. They, for some reason, can't find any of them. And I could have swore we have a Harry Potter sorting hat somewhere around in this house, but I guess we don't. So I'm in there looking, and I remembered that when I bought that beanie from Aaron Bailey, Aaron X Worldwide, he sent me the Exercising Demons beanie. He also sent me a bandana, and it's a huge bandana, it's like an oversized, I don't know, what do they used to call them? Do-rags. So he sent me one of those, and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So I used that, and I was originally going to cover my face with it like it's a stick-up, but then I decided to pull it down over, and then as I'm leaving the closet, I see out of the corner of my eye, my wife has this giant, old lady sun hat, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I can curl the sides up. So I did that, and so that's how my picture came to be. And if I see you guys over the weekend in Houston, I'll show you the pictures of myself. I'll probably show you Ben Johnson's picture too. But there's a bunch of them. There were many that Thomas had to choose from, and they're all very, very funny. So that's a great question. That was pretty funny. So it happened pretty quick. Thomas has funny ideas like that. All right. So some questions that Sean wants to know is the best dumpster diving find for Robbie. Ooh, you'll have to remind me about that question tomorrow. But I feel like if once we get into that I think that's going to be like a 20-minute sidetrack. Don't you think? I bet you he's got a lot. Leona says, love Robbie, so down to earth. Super excited to chat with him. Awesome. And yeah, cool. Frank says, whenever Ed Bud does his live stream, he makes sure to get off before this one. 40 schedules it at the exact same time. All right. Well, that's a good point. I haven't talked to Ed in a long time. So maybe I'll have him come on. So that reminds me. So what I'm ultimately planning on doing, what I'd like to do, because here's the thing. I like interviewing people. I like having people on, but I hate scheduling. I'm so bad at it, and it's so annoying. And so I think I'm just going to get a Calendly thing and start giving that out to people and just send it out to my friends and be like, dude, guys, if you ever want to be on, pick a day. And if there's none available, just wait, because more will become available. I'd love to have you. You know what I mean? Just pick one. That's what I think I'd like to do. Yeah, because I just feel like I have been thinking that it would be nice to have I don't need a sidekick, but someone to kind of talk to. I know I'm talking to you guys, but I feel like sometimes it'd be better to have someone to bounce off of a little bit, So that'll be fun, and I think that hopefully, I would love to be able to do it every day, have someone on every day, but I'm like, oh. that would be a lot of repeats, which is no problem with that. But there'd be just so much scheduling, and I don't want to do that much. I just don't want to do that much scheduling. That's all. Yeah. And so I'm going to lean on some of you guys too, to be who are the other creators? And you guys mentioned 40 and Ed. I don't really consider them smaller creators at this point, either of those guys anymore. I don't know their subscriber numbers, but yeah. So let me know if there's anyone else. Laura and the Hote. Lauren the Hote says, Robbie, I have a hard time pronouncing that word. Laura says, Robbie R would be great. He needs to get more credit for his writing. If you read his written reviews, they're nicely done. He is a good writer. I would say that. Very strong sense of voice. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like you're reading a Runner's World review or like an Outside Magazine review. Not that I think those are bad. I think both of those tend to be really good examples of solid like magazine writing, but it's very can tend to be anonymous, in a way, or institutional. Robbie has a really good sense of voice. Although that being said, I don't read too many things. Like I'm getting frustrated because like more and more things to read are coming across my nightstand and I'm just not able to keep up. The other day, this is how fast I'll fall asleep if there's reading involved, reading of a paper product involved. I told you that like I use the Tracksmith magazine to fall asleep before a marathon. I've been reading now Ryan Van Duser's book about his bike trip back from Honduras to Colorado. And after like 4 days of reading, I think I'm like 8 pages into it. It's not gonna, I need an audio version. I'm not gonna make it through it. No offense to Ryan's writing. It's good writing, but like I fall asleep. 2 days ago, my daughter, 2 days in a row, my younger daughter, she's like, Daddy, I want to read to you. I'm like, actually, that's a great idea. I was going to suggest that today. So she came over and read to me like two, like, she's in first grade, but like these are probably kindergarten level, like first reader books, first time reader books. And they were okay. And I was like, you did a really good job. That was entertaining. Thanks. And then she went to bed. And then the next day I was like, hey, maybe we should read some longer books. You're a little bit older now. I think that there's some chapter books that your sister has given you that you might like. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Junie B. Jones series. Those are popular in our house. But then she was like, oh, but Dad, I just got a chapter book from the library today. Let's read that. And I'm like, that's fine. That's great. Let's read that. So we get into my bed and after she takes her shower, I'm getting into bed and she hops in and starts reading to me. Next thing I know, like my alarm's going off because it's the next day. My daughter had put me to sleep, which is not the first time that's happened. But my daughter had put me to sleep. I fell asleep after like 4 pages of her reading to me. I vaguely remember her like leaving because I was holding the bookmark and she's like, Daddy, give me the bookmark. I was like, here you go. And then she left. So she put me to bed and then I actually think she was up probably for another hour after that. So I can't do reading. And now I just ordered another book I'll tell you about it when it gets in. But it's a paper book. And I'm just like, I don't know when I'm going to read this. And I still have Martellus' book, or the first chapter, sitting in my inbox. I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to read this. At this pace, I get through like 4 pages a night. Like this is not, I can't read. I need audio. All right. Luke Line says the Tracksmith magazine is like 12 pages. I know, I make it through like a page and then I fall asleep. The font is really small, so it's like, it's misleading. And Leanna says, my daughter used to love Junie B. Yep. It makes sense because it's not really geared towards boys. So I never read it growing up, but my wife is familiar with them. I don't know if she read them when she was young or when she was babysitting. I'm not sure when those came out, but she was familiar with them and she thought it was really fun. And I remember when I first started reading to my older daughter, every time I would say it, like, Junie calls people stupid a lot. And I'm like, that's not really a word we like to use around our house. And so as I would read it, I would use silly a lot of the time. And then after a while, my older daughter is like, Daddy, that's not what the book said. The book says stupid, not silly. And I was like, you're right. So then I started saying silly. So, yeah. Yeah, Lena says the audiobooks seem best for you. Yeah, I'll churn through an audiobook. I mean, I'm exercising, like my average run these days right now is about 90 minutes is a typical run. So 90 minutes 7 times a day. How much is that? It's 10 hours of potentially reading that I can do. I can get through most audiobooks in a week. But regular reading, like a physical book, it takes me forever. I can't do it. All right. Caleb Dyer has an actual running question. He says, anyone have any problems with the Adidas Adios Pro 3 rubbing the Achilles? I just got a pair and tried them on, felt a little rubbing there. Thanks. I know, like that tail thing that they have. Do I have it down here? I thought maybe I had the Takumi Sen down here, but I don't. The tail thing that they have on the Adios Pro 3, it's also on the Takumi Sen 9. It wasn't on the 8, but on the 9. And I think it's also on the Prime X Strung, where it like kind of flips over. That seems to be bothering people a little bit. If some people actually get Achilles rubbing, other people just think it's weird that it's floppy like that. I'm more in the second category. But I might suggest just a little bit of a taller sock. Does that help? Maybe that'll help. I have some socks from, I want to say they're from, are they Balegas? That have a little bit of an extra lip around the back. They're like low cut socks. And they have a little bit of extra something on the back. I don't know if that's intentional for like to protect against Achilles rubbing or what. Most of the time I don't like that it's there, but then sometimes I'll use it for shoes that might be bothering my Achilles a little bit. It's been a while since I ran in the Adios Pro 3. It's been a really long time. So I don't remember it giving me any problems. So yeah, Luke Land says, for me falling asleep with the Tracksmith magazine, he says, oh, blame it on the font. # old man eyes. That's so funny. Louis says, wait, no Captain Underpants books? My son loves those. We have some Captain Underpants books, but they're a little bit more boy oriented than they are, tend to appeal to girls. My daughter got into Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which I also kind of feel is more on like the, like boys books versus girls books kind of category. But I kind of like those. Those are good. They do a lot of graphic novels. At least my older daughter does. My younger daughter is starting to get into those now, which I'm totally fine with. Like whatever they find interesting to read, like that works for me. I'm not that like hung up on like, wow, if the ratio of pictures to words is too many, it's not reading. It's still all reading, Adam says the Ivy and Bean series is great for girls too. I'm not familiar with Ivy and Bean. I'll have to take a look at that. And New Betcha says, my kids love the Princess in Black books. All right, Princess in Black, Ivy and Bean. There's no way that I'm going to remember that, and I don't have any paper down here. I'm going to put that in my phone because I want to remember that. See, the thing is, it's amazing because my younger daughter is, I think, an incredible reader. Like, I think I know every parent thinks that their kid is advanced, but I think my younger daughter is a really good reader. And I think it's because she's been spending so much time on the iPad, like playing Roblox and stuff, and she has to do a lot of reading there and very quickly. I actually think that's why she is such a good reader. But maybe I'm just wrong on that. Maybe she just is at a really good school now. That also possible. All right. Dominic Smirnowski says, how would you compare the DV8 2 to the Mach 5? That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't tried the DV8 2. A lot of people have been asking me about that. A lot of people were clamoring for that in some of my top 5 videos at the end of last year, but I'm like, the shoe came out like in December, at least in the US. So it's kind of hard to include in a lot of those lists. And I'm very excited for it because I enjoyed the DV8 version 1, but it was regular Nitro foam and not the Nitro Elite foam. DV8 2 is Nitro Elite foam. So the racing foam, not the regular Nitro. So it's very fascinating. I did reach out to Puma yesterday or the day before that. Well, they reached out to me and they were like, hey, we want to make sure that we have good info for you because we want to send some stuff your way. And they're like, so I sent them like my shoe size and my address. I was like, by the way, but while we're waiting for the other stuff to come in, can you send me any DV8 Nitro 2s? I haven't heard back, but hopefully they'll just appear. I don't know. Ryan Weissman says, I had the Achilles rub issue with the Adios Pro 3. I think it has to do with the stiff plastic overlays on the heel counter, causing kind of a sharp edge at the top of the collar. Okay. What have you done to fix it, Ryan? How do you live with it? What have you done? More socks? Or what's the solution? Affluent Journey says, my Mach 4's tread was blasted by 100 miles, all asphalt and cement. Don't know how yours looks so good. The 100-mile update review, which, by the way, today someone was like super grumpy about it. And I don't know. I think I remember grumpy comments more than I remember like fun comments, ones that I enjoy engaging with. And I think that's a character flaw. A very human one, but I just feel like that's something I got to get over. But anyway, yeah. So no one has pointed out yet. I know the video's only been out for a little bit, but no one has pointed out like, well, you're on softer surfaces. That's why it looks so good. But my Mach 4s were all on asphalt and cement. And like the Mach 4 and my Mach 5s are all like wearing similarly. And so that's where I feel like gait may come into play, like how your foot hits the ground. And so one of the things that I've been doing a lot since I am on softer surfaces here is really listening for how my foot hits the ground. And what I've noticed over the past, 6-7 months of living in Crystal Lake is that like when I'm tired and being not careful, my foot doesn't just touch the ground and take off. It wants to slide into the foot strike sometimes. So, and I could hear like the like scratching sound on the gravel. And so I've been trying to really focus on like hitting the ground flat and then pushing back, So maybe it's something like really small like that that's making you hit the cement a certain way. I don't know. But like, it's wild that like I will get comments exactly like yours, Affluent Journeys. Although most of the time when I get them on a YouTube comment, it's like, Kofuzi is a liar. I had this shoe and like it disintegrated after 25 miles. And I'm like, I think there's a lot of hyperbole on every aspect of that sentence kind of thing. But then some people are like, yeah, I ran with mine in 500 miles on concrete. And I'm like, whoa, that is also a little bit hard to believe, but cool. I'm like, are you including like walking miles? Like, I don't know. I don't know how people get to that. But I don't know. I think it's, your mileage may vary kind of thing. That stinks that yours are not doing well at 100 miles. Shannon says, Seth unboxing the Elliott was funny today on his vlog. His gigantic knife. It was not cliche Strathsmith branding. Well, I suppose that. I haven't, I watched a Seth video yesterday. I hadn't tuned in a while. I know he's like moved house and all that stuff. So it was good to kind of like check in that way. But yeah, I didn't see his Tracksmith video. That'll be interesting. What is his knife like now? Because he always had like the big giant one that looked very dull. And I'm like, the only kind of dangerous knife is a dull one. It always made me nervous. I'm like, why don't you sharpen it? But it's always fun. Laura in the Hut says, holding a big book in bed is a great workout unless it falls in your face, which happened to me when I suddenly fell asleep. You know what's funny is sometimes the kids will be in bed. Sometimes we let them have iPad time right before bed. Yeah, not great parenting, but it's how we get through the week. And sometimes all of a sudden they'll start crying and I'll go in there and be like, what happened? And the baby will be like, the iPad fell on my face. And I'm like, that means you're very tired and it's time for bed. And she'd be like, no, it doesn't. It just means it hurt my face. And I'm like, okay, fine. 2 more minutes and then it's bedtime. All right. Lala Uchiha says, Heiko, is the Metaspeed Sky Plus too much shoe for a 345 marathon attempt? Pick them up for 50% off. Couldn't pass on them. I'd say that I don't think it's too much shoe. I'd say go for it. Try it in some workouts. See how it feels for some of those longer runs. And then you can decide. Yeah, I think that you'll have a lot of fun. I mean, I really like the Nova Blast as a daily trainer. So if you like the Nova Blast as a daily trainer, you probably will like the Metaspeed Sky Plus as a race shoe. And I think that there's plenty of up front to make sure that your foot's going to be comfy for that long 26.2 distance. I think the only thing that might give me a little bit of pause is if you're like a heel striker, there's not a lot in the heel, in terms of width. So like it's not as stable. So I like it kind of like if you're a mid-foot, forefoot striker. That's the big thing, and not necessarily pace. That would be more of a concern for me. CV76 says, USAF, is it USATF? Rule 241G. A competitor who collects refreshments from a place other than a refreshment station is liable to DQ by referee. And CV asks, should we not offer water and gels to runners going for the OTQ in Houston? I would say, yeah, I wouldn't offer them anything. I would say anyone that's, well, I think for the OTQ, it probably would matter a little bit less. But I feel like that kind of thing, like, that's why I don't understand like how Berlin is, like, and the way that Kipchoge gets his like bottles is allowed. Now, I think that they're allowed if you have one person who's not moving can hand you a bottle, and that's how it was also at Worlds as well. So the World Athletics rule might be different than the USATF rule. Like, I thought that like the bottle had to be picked up from a table. I thought that was the world rule, but when I saw people at tables like handing them to runners, I thought they were all breaking rules, and I was like, okay. And then like Kipchoge's bottle clause, he like hands the bottle to him, and then he takes off. My understanding is that like for world athletics purposes, like you're trying to set a world record for a marathon, you can hand it to the person, but it has to be like the same one person, and they can't be moving. So it can't be someone like in the stands. So like you and me, Stevie, like we shouldn't be giving anything to anybody. But like, it's weird because if you're going for the OTQ, it just depend on what I guess USATF would care about, right? So like, for example, my understanding is like, I think, I'm not positive, but I think you can OTQ in an illegal shoe, but you cannot qualify for Olympic standard time in an illegal shoe. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think that if you were going for that 218, I think you could do it to get to Orlando. I think you could do it in a Prime X, but any race that you ran in a Prime X, you would not be able to use to say, I've also satisfied the Olympic standard. You know what I mean? I think that's how it goes. Cause I remember some people were trying to hit the 10,000 meter, US trial standard, and they were doing it in like Vaporflies on a track, and they were like, that's fine because I don't think I'm going to make the team anyway. I just want to get to the trials. And so I think it just depends on how the USATF is going to force it. But since this is a USATF rule, I do think that they would probably not allow people to do that. And my guess is if they are going to enforce that rule, that they would tell the athletes, hey, don't take stuff from strangers. Which also, if you were a pro athlete, you were like, why would you take a mystery bottle from a stranger? Or a mystery gel. I'd be like, nah, I'm not going to take that from strangers. So that's my understanding of that rule. And I think that rule applies to everyone. So like anyone who has like a family member run along and hand you a bottle, that's technically against the rules, I think. But you see it at marathons all the time. If I'm wrong on that, I would love to know. So, all right. Kit says, hi, Co. I just ran in the Fast-R Nitro Elite for a 5K run, and I was disappointed that it wasn't as propulsive as I heard from reviewers. I've not tried that shoe. It's a peculiar one. It's hard to get. And I was just, I got the sense from it that it was more of like a 5K, 10K runner shoe, especially because a lot of the Puma marathoners weren't racing in it. They were racing in the Nitro Elite or the Nitro Elite 2. So I was like, okay, I don't know that this is a shoe for me. So I ended up not testing it. But for a 5K run, I feel like that should be like its sweet spot. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to run in that shoe. It's peculiar. It's interesting. I'd like to, but I don't know. I'm probably not the best person to send that shoe to just because of my speed or lack thereof. Nataku says, hey, Co. So I'm about 100 miles into my 1080 version 12. I'm enjoying them, but in the time I might want to transition to less 3. I want lighter and faster to be reminded of my old Float Ride 3. Yeah, I think that would certainly be it. I think if you like the New Balance, I want to say in the New Balance family, either the 880 or the Rebel 3. The Rebel 3 is going to feel the fastest and lightest. It's a very, very light shoe. So those would be also some other ones that I would take a look at. And then you can save the 1080 for either longer runs or more of a recovery kind of run. So you can kind of mix them up that way. All right, let me scroll down. I'm way behind you guys in the chat. Yeah, Adam says, and this is what I was talking about too. Like, if you're a runner, you need to be careful about taking something without being absolutely sure of the source. You risk contamination with an illegal substance. Yeah, that's why I would love to be drug tested at some point. I mean, especially think about like after Chicago, where I was like taking shots of beer and Malort. I don't think anyone would have put in like, testosterone in there to taint someone's results or anything like that. But I don't know. I think that if you're an elite, it's just, you got to be careful of what you're taking. I think that if you are an elite, I mean, I think the more practical place to be concerned is not necessarily like on the sidelines of a race, because why would you take something from someone on the side of a race? But I would say like if there's a supplement that's not like NSF certified, which I forget what NSF stands for, but like tested for illegal substance or banned substances, that'd be something that I would be more concerned about. I'd also be really concerned about like any like allergy medications and stuff like that, just because I feel like some of that gets really tricky too, Yeah, Lauren no, it says, if you're elite, make your own burritos. Something like that. Dominic says that the Puma shoes are everywhere in Germany and Western Europe. They're always on discount. Deviate 2s for 80 euros. Really? Well, Fast-R is for 150 euros right now. That's amazing. If I go to Europe, I'm going to have to go shopping. Do some sneaker shopping. They're like not even available. Well, is the Deviate 2 available in the US? Maybe. Yeah, I think it is. I was just looking at it today. I was going to buy it, and then I was like, oh, it's $170. Let me send an email. Let me see if I can get a pair sent to me. And then I was like, I don't want to ask because I don't like asking for stuff. And then in the meantime, I got like an email from Puma. I'm like, this is great timing. Adam says, I thought that the Fast-R was more a marathon than a 5K shoe. I think that may have been like what was the original project objective. But then like I think once they started giving it to their marathoners, I don't think that they were into it. Like, I think Annie Frisbee has run, I don't know if she's run a marathon. I think she ran a half marathon in it. I don't think I've seen Dakota Lindworm in it. I don't think I've seen Sarah Vaughn in it. I don't think I've seen Rory Linkletter in the Fast-R at all. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to think of like all the Puma athletes that I'm familiar with. And I don't think any of them are running in the Fast-R. Excuse me. Sorry. Well, Gallardo says, I got a new pair of Noblest 3 for $60 at Roadrunner Sports. Dope find. $40 with rewards. That's amazing. Oh, boy. Philip Rudd said, is the Noblast 2 a no-brainer at $79? I'm currently alternating Glide Ride 3 and Endorphin Speed 2. If you like those shoes, then I would say it's worth it. But Gallardo just said you could get the Noblast 3 for $60 at Roadrunner Sports. That Noblast 3 is a lot squishier than the Noblast 2. Noblast 2, though, will put you kind of in between. Well, I think it'd be the Glide Ride 3 has a nice level of squish too. I ran in that today, but it's a controlled squish. Noblast 3 is less controlled. Noblast 2 was a little bit more controlled. I don't know. I feel like paired with the Glide Ride 3 and Endorphin Speed 2, Noblast 2 or 3 would be good choices. I'd say it comes down to preference. 2 is a little bit more stable. 3 is a lot bouncier. And see if they have them in your size at Roadrunner Sports, Kerry Smith says, I'm going to hold off buying shoes until the Prime X2 strong. I have no idea when I'm allowed to tell you about what I saw on the Prime X2 strong. Because the people that told me that the Takumi Sen 9 was under embargo did not tell me it's off embargo, even though the shoe is for sale now. So I'm like, they're not going to send me any follow-up. And part of me is like, how do I even know that they work with Adidas? Because it was a PR agency that told me to take my Adidas content down. I'm like, these are not the people that I talk to in Texas. How do I know that they're even legit working for Adidas? How do I know that this isn't like some sort of weird Nike prank? You know what I mean? Or like Nike told this PR agency to post. I don't know. That would be really, really weird. Because let's figure that out eventually. But I don't know. But the Prime X 2 Strong yes, that's a good idea. It's going to be expensive. I don't know what it's going to cost. I don't think we talked about that. But I have a feeling it's going to be over $300. That's my guess. Or $300 exactly. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to make people be like, no, that's cheating. No, now you're really cheating, you know. But yeah, it's good. Alan Journey says, all we need to know is when it's going to go on sale. I don't know when it's going to be on sale I don't know if you mean sold or when it's going to get a price discount. But I don't know when it's coming out. The people that I talked to in Texas told me the Takumi Sen wasn't coming out till later in 2023. So they were off on that too, which I was surprised about because the Takumi Sen I thought always came out at the end of the calendar year. Like a winter release, you know. So I don't know. It was weird. Mark Shanko says, I'm still mad that I paid $300 for the Strong. LOL, though I enjoy them. I don't know. It went, here's the thing. The price was $300. Then it went on like Black Friday sales for like $150. People snatched them up. And then it went back to $300. And people were like, oh, that must have been a mistake. You weren't really allowed to get them for that cheap. And then it went back on sale again for $150. And I was like, what is happening? And then it went back up to $300 again. I don't know. Someone at Adidas, I think the people at Adidas are pricing geniuses. Really. They're just toy with us. And I don't know. They just keep us coming back to the website. I don't know. They're doing a great job. So the next video that I'm going to put out is about the Adizero SL. And it's going to be a good review because that shoe is a lot of fun. And I'm just really curious to see what happens with the pricing on that one. Because remember the original SL20? That one, it started at $120, then it went on sale to like $100, then you would see it for $80, then you would see it for like $60 or $40. It would be like 60, like 75% off. Like it was wild. Remember that? And it'd be like the original color would come out like in a November. And then in December, the original color or two would be like $80. And then a new color would also come out at the full price. And then it'd be like, what are they doing? Why are they discounting the original colors that much when they're releasing like a full retail price new color? That doesn't make sense. That's too much of a discount. I have no idea what's happening. So it'll be interesting to see if the same thing happens with the Adizero SL, because that's a good one. Especially for like $120. When every other shoe is getting like much more expensive, like that's a good one. Shannon says, a friend of mine who isn't into shoe tube but does look up shoes sporadically. Ask if anyone talks badly about shoes anymore. Do you think you or your colleagues are more graceful recently? I don't think that I've changed in the way that I talk about shoes that I don't like. And I'm looking at the shoe over there. It's over there. The Carbon X3. I made a video, said that I was wrong about it. That it's not that great. So I've done that before. I feel like the person that talked the most trash about shoes was Jamie, remember? And so like when he stopped making videos that trashed shoes, that I feel like he was a big contributor into like being very blunt about not liking shoes. But I think what a lot of people have done, which I think is prudent, is to just don't talk about shoes that are not good. If you don't like it, just don't do a review. Like I reviewed the Polar Ignite 3 and I was going to make a video about it and it wasn't going to be good. So I was just like, it's not going to get that many views to begin with. And I don't like making negative videos. So I just won't talk about it. That's kind of how I've been more in line. But like, I also feel like, sometimes if a shoe's bad, there are times where like it behooves you to talk about it. Like when I don't love the Pegasus 39, I feel like I got to talk about how I don't like it, or the Boston 10, which I've tried to like, but it's just so confusing, so there's that. I think maybe I'm getting nicer. I do think that everyone is finding better ways to be more civil about shoes that don't agree with them. That being said, like there's always people in the comments that are going to be nasty, so I think the overall tone is, I guess if you're looking above the video or below, like above the comments or below the comments, I guess. I don't know. We need to have a name for that line. Kind of like above the fold, below the fold, like they have in newspapers, maybe. I don't know. Imran Khan said, what's the most comfortable everyday shoe? I would probably say the No Blast 3. That's going to be mine. I think there could be some debate over that. And also it depends. Are we talking about everyday running or everyday like living a daily life, Like doing casual use as well? Might be a different answer. Although I do like the No Blast 3 for that too. Go Running with Oliver says, the Prime X too strong is super cheating then? I'll save my money till it comes out. I mean, I'll be one of the first in line to throw my money at that shoe out. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think it'll be great for long run workouts. I mean, it's basically like, I think it'll feel a lot like running with, I just got an email from Lever, the treadmill add-on company where they put like all the harnesses on you and stuff. I feel like it's probably going to be like a road version of that, All right, you guys are pretty active in the chat today. Piet Johnson says, hey, if you get an Noblast 3, is the next buy a tempo shoe or an easy day shoe? I'm not sure which it's closer to. I would say, like, if you're getting a Noblast 3, let's say you have 0 shoes and you buy a Noblast 3, the next shoe that you're probably going to buy is going to be a racing shoe. I'd say the more practical shoe to buy would probably be either like maybe a tempo day shoe, but like if you get a racing shoe, then you could do your workouts in it. And if you have a race, you can race in it, the most practical might be an even more cushioned or more plush and relaxed shoe. So maybe like a Glide Ride, maybe like a Triumph 20, maybe like, like something or more version 4. And I feel like that would be like a more practical use, because then you can have the Noblast 3 for most of your days, and then on your days you're feeling beat up, the more version 4. Because then I'm assuming if you only have like 1 or 2 pairs of shoes, you're probably not doing like 3 workouts a week. Maybe you're doing 1 and then have an easy long run on the weekends, So I feel like having more shoes that are geared toward that may be the more prudent approach. But I also acknowledge that like, you don't want kind of like 2 easy/slow shoes in a row for your first 2. People want to get some excitement. And so I usually don't fight that and say like, oh, get the workout shoe, get the race shoe. That's kind of where I would go. Dark Cake says, critical takes are different than trashing a shoe. There has to be some objectivity. That's for sure. I also try not to be like every shoe is fantastic. But I think there was a time where I feel like people were like, sometimes people would trash shoes as a way of like, getting attention, Not that I don't think that Jamie was doing that, but it was, I think, just more of like something that was in the zeitgeist, I think. Kind of like if you think about it, like from like 5 years ago when people would be like, 8 reasons why the iPhone sucks. The iPhone doesn't suck, but that's a catchy title that gets clicks. There was a little bit of kind of that. And Matt says, yes, depending on the product, a dislike video when it's needed for an unexpectedly popular product, I think that's when I will make like a negative video, when it's like, I know a lot of people are going to buy these. A lot of people are just going to not like think about it, but I don't think it's that great. That's when I'll make a negative video, which always kind of sucks. Because then they're like, well, how come you don't like this one? There must be an ulterior motive other than the fact that maybe it just doesn't work for me, So that's hard. Noah and Atlas says, sorry if I missed it. Have you read Running While Black? I have. I listened to it on an audiobook. It took me like 3 or 4 days. It was great. Very thought-provoking. A lot of stuff that I hadn't considered. So makes me think a lot about, I think the tweet that I put out was, it's not a book about leadership, but if you are in a leadership position, it's like a must read, I think. Jeff Lannigan wants to know, have you ever used a curved manual treadmill? If you have, I'm curious what you thought of it. I've tried them before. It's felt like a lot of work. I just was like, ugh, I don't understand this. It seems like making treadmill running even less fun is what I thought about it. But, someone mentioned it down here. Ben Johnson uses a manual curved treadmill, but then again, he's basically a good guy T1000. True. Matt Choi also frequently is on those curved treadmills. I don't know. I just like a regular kind of treadmill. The one that's got a little bit of bounce to it, so it's nice and soft. That's what we have in our house. Yeah, because I think that what I would rather have, we bought the treadmill. We bought one because I wanted to buy one like from a store and not have to like wait 3 weeks for it to get delivered. So I went to like a Dick's Sporting Goods, and then I needed it to be one that my wife would not be intimidated by, so she could use it too. And I feel like a manual curved treadmill, my wife would have been like, "What the heck is that?" She would have been like, "Nope, I'm never using it. You can buy it if you want, but I'm never using it." And that's not what I wanted. I wanted one treadmill that could serve 2 people. I think though, like if they wanted to send me one, I would love it if Woodway would send me a regular flat powered treadmill. That would be lovely. I like Woodway. I think like those are a nice luxurious product. Otherwise, I don't care what the treadmill is, basically. A Woodway, I know that's the only like brand that I know. Otherwise, they're all kind of the same to me. Eric says about negative reviews, I love worst shoes of the year videos. No offense. Yeah, I think I've made some of those before. I don't know. I like them too. I like watching other people's. I do like it when people trash a shoe, kind of. But I'm like, I don't know. A lot of people work hard on that, and it's gonna work for somebody. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I think in 2023, 2022, they're not really releasing shoes that are complete like bombs. Like maybe if you're like shopping in like the $40 range, yeah, maybe there's probably some not great running shoes. But if you're buying like from regular brands, I think like most of the shoes are gonna work for the intended audience, and that's what I always try to figure out. What's the intended audience? But yeah. Matt says, I'll add to that I always try to think that some engineer worked hard and like into the night making this product, and try to be somewhat respectful when slamming a product. Yeah, I agree. There's, and like, I think that people identify with their work. So I'm like, this is someone that I'm probably I might meet the person that made this shoe, so I don't want to be like completely like nasty, but that aside, it's like, I think that I can say like, here's where I think that this shoe falls short of its intended use. Or I could say this is what I think the shoe is intended for, but those aren't things that I like. That's kind of where I am with Salomon's shoes right now. And we've been talking about that the past couple of days. It's like they're making great product for other people. Someone mentioned earlier in the comments, like, what's a great shoe for running in the mud? I don't really know because I don't really run in mud, but I'm pretty sure that Salomon shoes are very good at that. They're not good at running on like dirt roads like the kind that I run on. They're very stiff for that, in my opinion. But I feel like in mud, oh yeah, I think actually that'd be really nice. So like, you know, that's what I always try to figure out. Like, someone made it this way on purpose. Why? You know, I always try to find what's the why? What's the why? And then sometimes at the end of the day, it might just be like, well, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen, and like this was the compromise that we landed on, and it ended up stinks. But that might be the case. Sometimes you say that you're like, I don't. Boston 10 is like that example, right? I think it works best as a 5K pace, like a VO2 max workout shoe. But why is it so heavy then? And why is it called a Boston? You know, I don't understand the Boston. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to think of who's it for. I like it, what I thought it responded best to, but then like, okay, but then other things don't match up to what it's delivering. So like somewhere there's a disconnect, and I don't know. So there's some shoes like that, you know. Shannon says, though, the Brooks Hyperion Elite, that's another story. That's a shoe that I will bash. I'll bash that every time. And the reason why is because they did me dirty on that. You know, they treated their fan base really crappy when Brooks released the Hyperion Elite version 1. And they've never acknowledged that. I read, you know what book I read? I read the audiobook by the CEO. I think his name is Jeff Weber of Brooks. Oh, there's a very big portion about how excited he was to see Des Linden running in the Hyperion Elite 2 at the Olympic trials. There's a big, long discussion on that. There's no discussion at all on Brooks Hyperion Elite 1 and what kind of lessons as an organization Brooks may have chosen to learn from that. So I don't know. No one from Brooks has ever acknowledged that was a problem. No one from Brooks has ever seemed to acknowledge that it was a weird decision to say that the expected lifespan of the Brooks Hyperion Elite 1 was 25 miles when it's a marathon shoe. So many weird things. And they're just like, but here, buy these other ones. I don't know. Yeah, I root for Brooks. I want them to make, I want good shoes from them, but I do like the Hyperion Max. That's a review that's coming up soon. That's going to be a glowing review. That may be my favorite book shoe ever. It's good. I like that one. Derek says, Jeff Weber has left the chat. I don't think he's in here, but if he were, maybe. Well, yeah, I probably would have left. There's a lot of things that I think that were glossed over in that book that I wish would have been given a little bit more attention, but maybe that's just me. All right. Go Running with Oliver says, do you think Matt Troy will hit his goal of sub 250 at Houston? I hope so. I mean, he's such a strong guy, so it's hard to tell just from his running, you know, like the workouts that he's doing, like what those indicate or translate to, because he's doing a lot of other work as well. And I think that there's a lot of people that went from doing sub 3 goals to sub 250 goals. And I think there's a lot of work in between there. I'm not saying that he's not capable of it. The guy's like 20 something years old and built like a god, right? So he's like certainly capable, I think, of it. Is it this time though? I'm not sure. Hopefully I get to see him over the weekend. I'll certainly be rooting for him. It'll be amazing if he does it. And I think that'll be great. I'll be super happy for him. I'll be the first one to give him a high five. Maybe not the first, because I did not get press credentials. So I will not be on that end of the finish line. But yeah. Louis says, Warren Buffett owns Brooks. Are you sure you want to talk bad about that company? Well, I of course know that Warren Buffett, or at least Berkshire Hathaway, owns Brooks and set them up as a standalone subsidiary rather than being subsidiary to Fruit of the Loom, which is what they used to be, which is also owned by Berkshire Hathaway. But I also feel like Warren Buffett appreciates constructive criticism of business practices. If I were to have a conversation with Warren Buffett about the Hyperion Elite One, I think it would be maybe a little bit more tempered. And how did you put it, Shannon? Graceful about it, you know. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today, though. Yeah. Sean Devlin says, bring in Jeff Weber for next Tuesday's live stream guest. That would be amazing. I would love that. Here's the thing that I wouldn't. If I brought him onto the live stream, would I confront him about the Hyperion Elite One? I would not do it. If I were to, I would not do it as a surprise. I would at least let him know that I was going to ask him about it first. But I don't think he'll ever let me. I don't think he would ever come on a Thursday 1 p.m. live stream. So I think it's a moot point. All right. That's going to be it for today, guys. No video for tomorrow, but we'll do another live stream. And don't forget, Robbie's going to be here. So bring your questions or your popcorn and hang out for the conversation. And can't wait to see you guys. All right. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.